sorry to kick you out, but I don't want to be rude to the nice men here working for no pay to record. So I don't mind people coming in and out. He gets seriously grumpy. Well, the whole way home it'll be like this. So I've tried to keep my morale up, but I think we need one more round of applause for Ben as he leaves the building. I was also playing like that when I was 11. It's just, as you get older, things drop and things fall apart, and you've just got to be okay with it, I suppose. This is a song about youth. It's a song called Folon by the great Malian singer Salif Keita, and he's singing about how things have changed in his generation, how young people can speak about their feelings and they can speak about what's happening, and they don't only have to wait and listen and see. They can also speak their mind. He was saying this in the late 80s. I don't know, maybe he'd regret that now, because everyone has a lot to say these days. But that's what the song's about. And there was a big change in Malian music to start to sing about the inside and the individual, as opposed to the collective and about history and all that. So that was the big change that people like Salif Keita brought. Thanks all for coming. How are you all doing? What a space, eh? It's so beautiful. There's a slight high frequency going. This is a song by a friend of mine called Madosini. I say it's a song by her because I'm quite stubborn that way. We've been having a disagreement for going on 10 years now about this song because I transcribed it very painstakingly from a recording that I made of her with a friend. Beautiful recording. And it was a beautiful song, and I thought it'd be wonderful to try and approximate it on guitar. She plays it on the mouthbow, which is an instrument of exceptional voodoo qualities. Anyway, I played it to her, and she was really, really delighted, but for the wrong reasons. She thought that I'd composed the piece, and she thought it was great. So we had a little conversation about this, and I came off worst. So it became my piece, against my will. It perhaps didn't say much for my transcription skills. But I am pretty sure to this day, even if I listen to the recording, I can kind of play along to it. It's to my ears, she's obviously hearing things in the outer realms that I am not aware of. Anyway, last November, after a number of years of this going on, we were going to go to France together. So we had a rehearsal, and I said, let's play that piece about the motor car, the Imotokali piece. She said, great, and she started playing another piece completely. It was in 5. This piece is in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I couldn't have got that wrong, So I said, great, let's do that piece. But what about that piece, this one? It's on track 3 of that record. It goes like this. And she goes, your piece. is a piece by a wonderful composer. He's recently been named the most played living composer in classical music for I think the third year in a row, which is an amazing achievement if you think that most classical musicians much prefer to play music by people who are no longer living. His name is Ava Pärt, and this is a piece about mirrors. It's called Mirror in the Mirror. So you keep hearing this melody there, and then it's reflected there, and then there. Does this make sense? It's like that, you know? It's like the Estonian... Anyway, here it goes. very much. I'd like to play one of my compositions now. It's a piece called the Koortjie for the Kommetjie Whales. And it's a piece that's a type of piece that's usually played in churches around the Western Cape. My one is not from the churches of the Western Cape, or not yet. I'm working on it. But it is, it's a koortjie in the sense that it's like a cyclical thing that goes round and round, and this is the kind of songs that some of the churches use now, a kind of trance song. And this one is called the Koortjie for the Kommetjie Whales because it was a lament for 14 whales that were beached in 2009, and that was a very sad thing. They never found out exactly what happened, but I've heard that this comes about due to a crisis of leadership in the head whale. So I've been thinking a lot about this piece again in the last few years, especially because I was in the United States of America during the big beaching of whales that happened there on the 11th of November in 2016. I don't know if you followed it on the news. And it's had some quite, huge repercussions. And we had a similar whale beaching in South Africa that took some time. Our head whale got a little bit lost, and we changed head whales. We got a new head whale in the middle of his term. While he was supposed to be carrying on, we got a new whale, and that was pretty exciting. And I was feeling really positive about this, and so as part of this feeling positive, I started playing this song again in America because their beaching was still going strong. Anyway, I did this for a while, and it seemed that it wasn't really making much difference, especially because when I tried to tell the story, no one knew exactly what I was talking about, especially because I was mentioning, strange things like South Africa, and also a lot of the things that went on in South Africa, the kind of whale corruption that we had, whales selling them out to foreign powers, whales selling the country off to private businessmen. These are the kind of things that American oceanographers were completely unaware of, because Africa is a strange place, and things happen there that of course would never happen in a place like America. Anyway, it seemed to go very well because recently they tried to depose this said whale, and unfortunately didn't work. So I have to go back in April and see if I can have another go at it. Although you never know if things are bad or things are good, because just when we thought it was all disastrous, I don't know if you heard, but their head whale came up with a cure for coronavirus recently, which is super exciting. No one had thought that you could just use a vaccine for another illness. So that's brilliant. So tonight I'm pleased that we have such great guitarists in the younger generation. And may they have great whales to lead them into the future so that they can continue playing great music. like to congratulate you all for being brave enough to assemble in a public space in large groups. And since since we are in Australia, I'd just like to ask that nobody takes the toilet paper, please. What's actually with that, guys? Because I don't know much about your place. We're stockpiling medicines at the moment because we recently had our first incidents of this thing, which doesn't involve the need for extra toilet paper. So but I've learned a lot of amazing things about your country in the time that I've been here. Last night I witnessed my first kangaroo roadside cesarean section, which was quite something. I mean, you guys are used to this, but I had never seen this before, and I knew that Michael was very good at organizing concerts, but I never knew he was quite so skilled in the arts of kangaroos. We also almost died last night. We almost hit two horses, which were running up the main highway from Bendigo. So yeah, I thought I came from Africa, but you guys are hardcore. Thanks very much. This next piece is a piece called Alalaka. It's a piece that's normally played by beginning kora players. and they continue to play it for a number of years, usually about 80 or 90, and they become very good at it. But it often is and can be the first piece they learn to play. And I actually witnessed somebody when I first finally went to Bamako to witness this incredible thing of the griots and how they pass their music on from generation to generation. I saw a 9-year-old have his first music lesson. And the griots, they say that music is passed on from generation to generation in the blood. I'm a little bit more cynical in that. I think that if you're born into a griot family and you suck, you get sent to another family. Because when I went there, everybody that I saw in his family were incredible musicians. And that was an amazing thing. I even saw a guy playing guitar who was like flying all over the fretboard, like and then the guy who taught him said to me, "Oh yeah, he just started a week and a half ago." True story. Anyway, this is how the lesson went. His teacher gave him this part, and maybe it went like this. I mean, like that maybe, because it was only his first lesson. And then his teacher went about making a cup of tea. And this boy sat there. And there was a big compound with a whole lot of people. I was there. There was somebody in the corner watching television. His teacher was washing up some pots. And there was also a very large white horse, which I didn't ever ask about. And he just sat there, looking at all of this and playing this thing. And the idea is that you'll do this, and then maybe you'll add a little variation. Or your teacher will, for you, when he's finished making the tea. Thanks. the crickets have stopped. That was amazing. I love crickets. I made a record in a small church about 4 hours from Cape Town a while ago. It was called One Night on Earth, because we went there because we thought it'd be really nice to be in the countryside, and we thought it'd be really nice to be in a church. And so we found this church in the countryside to record, and we took a van full of equipment, and it was a generator, and we took all the wires in, and we laid up all these microphones everywhere. And we realized that the microphones could hear the highway, which was like 45 minutes away. So we had to wait until all good little truck drivers go to bed, which is at midnight, exactly 5 minutes to midnight. They were all, and then we started playing, and we played all the way through the night. And at about 4 or 5, 4 in the morning, the birds started singing, and we had to stop then, because then they had to have their turn. And once we went back to the studio to listen carefully what we'd done, we heard that there had actually been an entire orchestra of crickets performing at the same time as. So they're on that record. You unfortunately can't verify that, because I don't have any of the records left, because I don't have them made in South Africa like you guys. We do our production in countries with weak economies and cheaper labor, so I have mine made in Great Britain. And so I couldn't get them here, because something to do with your past, you have like some weird postal thing going on between the two of you. I don't want to ask, I don't want to know what the story is, but maybe it's time to forgive and forget and just get things moving. So, but that is, there are those beautiful crickets on that. It's called One Night on Earth. And what it was a kind of a tribute album to a kora player called Tumani Diabate, who I discovered in 2001 and listened to for a very long time until I clicked that this was a great African composer. And I was very delighted when I discovered that, because before that I thought he was kind of the Keith Jarrett of West Africa, and the only way to even approach the type of music that he was playing would be to be reborn in West Africa number of times, and I didn't know how to organize that. So I when I realized he was a composer, I knew what to do, because as a classical musician we're taught to read texts, and then we can interpret those texts in different ways, and that's our little thing that we do. So the only problem with Tumani, though, is he doesn't write his music down, because he lives in an age that has electricity and recording. So he recorded his music, so I had to do the writing down so that I could learn it. And I spent a very long time doing this. One time, I think it was in the winter, and I didn't sleep much. And I did this first piece that I'm going to play for you now. And I want you to imagine the excitement when I first heard this coming out of my guitar, because I thought that I'd been born in the wrong country, spent the last 10 or 15 years playing entirely the wrong instrument and learning in the wrong way, because I had a guitar, and the guitar couldn't do what I wanted to do, which was to be able to play music like what he was playing. So when I first heard it coming out of the guitar, I was exceptionally delighted, and I thought that I'd done something pretty cool. So I sent a recording to a friend, as one does when one does cool things. And the friend sent it to a real live kora player, and I'd never seen a real live kora player before. In fact, I'd never even seen a real live kora, because I'm from South Africa and we don't get African music there, really. So I got a response from this real live kora player, and she said, "Wow, this is so exciting, it sounds so great. And you know, this is wonderful, it's coming full circle, because kora players learned this from guitarists." Tubaka. know was that Tumani's music was a very bad place to start learning this music, because Tumani's music was like the art of fugue is to music. You know, you don't want to start there. You want to start somewhere a little bit elsewhere. So the problem with Tumani's music is that he plays 3 lines at the same time, and he's just stupidly good. So I didn't know this though, because I only had the one recording, and it was such a good recording that I just at no point thought that I should maybe just get another one, because when you got a good recording, you know, that's all you really need. So I listened to this for, it was actually 9 years until I stopped and decided to try and learn to play it. So what he does is he has 3 parts. The first part is in the left hand on his thumb, because of course the kora is a harp, so we need two hands to do this kind of thing. But then the left, that was the left, right? My left. The right has the accompaniment. Then the fingers, the index fingers are still hanging out there. They can do something as well. So they can do little fills, like a second guitarist or a second kora player. Which normal kora players would stop the accompaniment and do that. But Tumani keeps going, so he gets... right, thank you very, very much. Michael's giving me the thumbs up, which means that possibly our time is also up. I want to play you a piece by another great griot, a griot that's kept me going for many years with wonderful music. His name is S Bach. He comes from a wonderful griot country called Germany. Originally came from Poland, which is why the Germans are very pro-immigration even now, because they know that you have to be careful about who you don't let in your country, because people who come to your country may just be the next Bach, and that's a good thing. So this is a piece of his that's very similar to the piece I just played called Jarabi, and it's often an album of mine called It says Derek Gripper on it. I think it's called the Sonatas and Partitas. It's a very catchy title. It's called Sonatas and Partitas 1, the 2017 session, because they keep changing. So that's where you find this. And all I have here for you tonight is a record called A Year of Swimming, which is about a year of cold water swimming that I did. You might have heard of it. Cold water. In our oceans we have very cold water on the one side. In the Atlantic it gets 8 or 9 or 10 degrees sometimes, and I was lucky enough to spend a year swimming every day in this, and I had to learn to do it because it was super unpleasant in the beginning. And actually there's a song on the album called The First 2 Minutes, which refers to that time when you go in the water and that first 2 minutes when you're thinking, why am I doing this? This is so unpleasant. There's so many better things I could be doing. Like, why? And things get very dark. There's a lot of things in life that are like this, and things get very dark. It's also, I get like that as well when I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning in a hotel and catch a flight somewhere. I also get this super dismal feeling. Anyway, luckily in water it lasts 2 minutes, and then everything changes and it becomes the most marvelous and wonderful thing you've ever done. And I had a few incredible swims in that year. One was in a glacial lake in the mountains of Slovenia, which I afterwards found I was swimming over the top of a submerged forest, which I find, I don't know about you, but I find like super terrifyingly creepy. And I'm really glad that they only told me afterwards, because I did wonder why everything was dark green underneath me, and I swam out happily all by myself. No one else was in the water. And then afterwards they told me this, and anyway, it was good that I was out of the water, because I would have had a heart attack and sunk to the bottom. And the last swims I did just before making the album was in Canada, and it was a little bit cold, like it was minus 19, and the snow, which is that white icy stuff that I'd never even seen before, really, like chorus. Was very deep, and we would go through this deep snow down the forest into this creek and sit in the water and swim, and because the water would still move because it was a creek. So after a few days of doing this, when I regained use of my hands, I went into the studio and recorded this album, which has a lot of pieces from singers from West Africa, and also my interpretations of their music. But that long preamble has nothing to do with this song. And just thank you very much to everybody here, to Michael, who's brought the other Michael, who's brought the speakers for the third time we're using this system. And thank you to Michael. He does amazing work. You know, you think you came here of your own volition, because you are free-thinking human beings, but you actually came here because of that man over there. So thank you very much, Michael. This was a cancelled tour. I was only going to come next year, and Michael said, "Oh yeah, I can organize 1 or 2 concerts for you, maybe house concerts. Come anyway." So the 2 house concerts became 2 actual concerts, and then the 2 actual concerts became 5 and 10 and 15, and now it's really slave labor of some sort.